Sorry about it, Sprouse. Feel bad for you, bud.
No, I would raise the question. I would much rather compete every year. I mean, Miami Heat are every year they're at least a sort of contender. I mean, Miami Heat.
Ooh, how'd you fold up there? Supposed to get some fellas in the group chat, I think, today.
Yeah. Where's this thing at, Jeff? I'm trying to.
Should be there. YouTube is up.
I guess the difference for like the Panthers and Heat of this year was they were both 8 seeds, and
Yeah, that's what made it so fun,
and made a
too.
run. Like, I would prefer that over being like the Boston Bruins, for example, where you have an unbelievable regular season and then get upset or lose in the first round.
Yeah, that's what made this year, like, I don't want to say special, but like this was way more fun than any of the
It's fun, man.
the LeBron Wade teams.
The Nashville Predators did the same thing that one year. They were the 8th seed and swept the almighty Chicago Blackhawks in the first round and went to the Stanley Cup that year. That was fun. They lost, but it was fun.
But
the Braves 2 years ago make the playoffs by like a game or two, or like barely make it into the wild card, and then make that run.
You just got to get there, man. You just got to get in, especially baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Baseball, anybody can. Which, by the way, did y'all see the Texas Stanford ending last night?
Yeah,
no.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So was it tie? It was a tie, or was Texas up?
It was tied.
It was
bad.
6-6, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and Stanford guy hits like a routine fly ball to kind of right center field.
Center. Yeah.
And both outfitters lose it in the lights, and it just drops right in front of the right fielder, and they walk off and win it. Awful.
It was in between the second baseman and the right fielder.
Yeah,
it
looked like the second baseman, but it looked like he saw it.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
That was like a Matrix thing, because the play before that, the guy should have hit a home run. Or he thought he hit a home run, and so they were celebrating the win before that. And then he could have got thrown out at second. He's lucky he didn't. And then they hit that BS pop up, which I mean that's worse than probably like a 4th and 5 and you give up a sack as a left tackle like that.
Oh yeah,
that was routine. That's like a center snapping the ball over a quarterback's head, like going for the win, which I've done against North Carolina.
How did that happen?
But I just, you don't catch a routine flop. Maybe routine, maybe. But that's a tough way to not go to the College World Series and end your college career and go home and start working in an office and always remember at the back of your head that you've been spot flat could change your life forever.
Poor guy.
God.
Oh, you played baseball at Texas? Oh, what position did you play? Right field. Oh.
Who was the guy for the Boston Red Sox that missed the routine ground ball and cost them the World Series?
Oh, what's that called? Oh, I forgot his name.
First baseman.
First baseman. It was like a routine ground ball.
Went right under his legs.
Right under his legs, and they lost the World Series. It was part of the Beano curse.
Yep.
The Bambino curse?
Yeah.
Bambino. We got a couple people in the group chat, so I might as well get this thing on the road. Stu's right.
On the road.
Zachary Branner. Both in there.
I thought they said Terry
Welcome,
was
boys.
coming in.
Waiting on
Terry and
Terry
Steeple, creme brulee.
We'll get them all in there.
I thought they were coming in to hang out tonight.
Well, Steeple's just waiting on our coastal talk, so.
I have a feeling there's going to be some coastal talk tonight. But you just tell me when to go, Jeff Murphy. I'm ready when you are.
Hang on one second. Buckner. All right, we're good. It was Buckner. He was the first baseman for the
Bill Buckner. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Get it going.
Okay, Jeff. Tell me when to go. Welcome into the #1 Group of 5 football podcast in the world. We are the Group of 5 guys. Our mission and our goal is to be the voice of the Group of 5 football programs that the mainstream sports media refuses to be. We need your help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your good podcasts, and subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review, and share it with your family and friends. You can also go to groupof5guys.com and get you some Group of Five Guys swag. Show tonight, top players to watch for in 2023. We're going to do the offense first. Should be fun. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
Lee Corso is a guy who had a retirement party 10 years ago, and yet he still won't leave the office.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. That's incredible.
That's
the wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
I appreciate what you guys do, truthfully, covering the Group of Five. Y'all said it earlier, but the Sun Belt to me is college football.
Boys, we got some controversy in MAC country today. You thought it was going to be a slow time of the year. It's June, NBA finals are happening, baseball season's cranked up. It's you got the Baseball College World Series. MAC country, I got a recruiting controversy for you. Saw this on Twitter today. So I'm going to read a couple of tweets to you, see what you guys think about it. So Bobby May is the head coach of Kell High School, which I believe is in the state of Ohio somewhere. I'm going to read you his tweet. 2 tweets. First, a young man is offered a spot and informed that there is one available. Second, the young man and his family fly to your campus, fully committed to joining. Third, following a workout through injury, tour, and more, you then inform him there are no spots. Tweet number 2. You then offer him a preferred walk-on, citing their ability to afford the school as the reason. Stay classy at Miami, Ohio football, and at M. White, who is the wide receivers coach at Miami. You are no longer welcomed at Kell football. And tweet. Now, want to go and just below those tweets. So there's responses, nothing from Miami of Ohio on there. Certainly don't want to speculate. But there's some tweets from other high school coaches that are like, yeah, same thing happened to me with another school. Same thing happened. It happened. Some coaches happens all the time. Somebody else, don't know who it is, was like, stop lying. That didn't happen. Your player is miscommunication, or your player heard something he wanted to hear. Swag Bear first. Number one, I guess you think stuff like this happens often. And number 2, what's your reaction to tweeting it out there for the whole world to see?
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens more than we think. It probably, now with the way social media is, it's easy to get that information out there. I don't give a damn. I'll go on record. The kid's probably not that good. He's probably not that great of a player, and so he could probably be. I mean, if it's his only, it's going to sound terrible. If it's his only Division I offer, then they probably could snag a guy. They probably said, "Hey, look, here's a spot on the roster," but then some guy freed up who does have a few offers. It's a dog eat dog world out there, especially with all the transfer portals and the JUCOs, and then just the sense of urgency from high school players. I don't think it had much to do with the money. The coach is probably switching the narrative to make it sound like that. That's just my opinion. What was your second question?
Well, for the high school coach putting it all out.
Oh
there
no,
Twitter,
I think probably
bush league a little bit, right?
I think that's probably a young coach for all I know. Probably a young coach trying to get his name out there. But hell, you know what? Miami, Ohio is probably the next step, and you're really hurting your name, burning bridges to get to the next level. So
yeah, that was.
He probably does love that player. He probably loves the player. Probably trying to stick up for him. But let's take a look in the mirror. He probably wasn't. He probably wasn't Division I caliber just yet. And they probably said, "Hey, preferred walk on is what we can do." And they definitely do look at financial situations. I mean, they do. I think they really do. But if you're good enough, they're going to give you a scholarship.
Well, if they know, I agree 100% with both. If he's probably good, he's fine. They hope he'll come, and they probably had another kid, like you said, with this transfer portal. Could have been a transfer come open that committed, and then they're probably like, well, hopefully we can get both, but this guy can't afford it. Let's give him a Scully. If we can get the other guy, he probably doesn't have a whole lot else in the offer range going for him. Apparently, he's got some money.
Record, Sprouse. I'll go on record. Interrupt you. I mean, I had an SEC verbal offer. I thought I was going to the SEC. Guess what? Somebody didn't commit where they thought he was going to commit. He took my spot. I know it's a little different situation. It's not really, they didn't put financials into it. But I'm sure my coach could have tweeted something out there being like, oh, so you told my guy he's going to go there, but now you know he's this, and that. You're not going to let him go in. It happens. It happens every year.
Well, so. every school's got to offer more kids than they can take. I mean, that's it has to, because you're not going to get everybody. And then you got these kids that, commit, decommit, commit, sign, transfer. I mean, it's a mess right now. And also, too, and I don't know the case for this scenario, but I mean, how many guys do we know that think they got offered by somebody because they got, a mass letter sent out in the mail? I remember when I got that first letter and I thought I was hot shit. And then I realized that pretty much every high school player in America got the same one. It's
so when the invitation to the summer camp.
To the camp. The good guy, just FYI for everybody, the guys they really want ain't paying $60 or $100 to go to camp. No. If you're paying for camp, you're paying for school. That's the way I look at it. But Murph, I want to get to you a little bit on that. What are your initial thoughts, your initial reaction?
Yeah, well, I got a couple initial thoughts. I mean, first and foremost, we know how tight the coaching network is, especially in college football. And I don't know, who this high school coach is up there, but I know there's one thing, especially from my experience coaching high school ball here in Tennessee, like your reputation as a high school coach is very, very important, especially getting kids to the next level. So if you go out and you're not 100% truthful in what you're saying, you better believe the college coaches that are going to be dealing with you in the future are going to let other coaches know that, and they're probably just going to stay away from you. They're probably not going to, believe you if you've ruined your credibility. So from the high school coach's standpoint, I probably wouldn't have done that. Now, on the other side of it, you know how many times schools get screwed over by players where they're like, oh, I'm going to your school, and then, last minute I'm not. So, I mean, it happens both ways. I don't really, it's just part of the game, especially now with the transfer portal. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks when it happens to both parties. Like, sucks when it happens to the school. It sucks when it happens to the player. That's just the day and age that we're in. It's a dog-eat-dog world, especially with the transfer portal. Like, if a guy pops up and he wants to come and he's a proven player and you got, like, college tape on him, I'm sorry. That's the kid I'm taking.
Yep. Yeah, it's brutal. And I'll say this, and again, we don't know what really happened, but like you said, Jeff, like I had never heard of Kell High School, so that tells me that it's not, a St. Thomas Aquinas, Hoover High School, Mater Dei, Katy out of Texas. It's not a St. Francis. So, like, there's enough really, really good high school players that if there's a school where the relationship with the coach is fragile, just don't deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in dealing with it.
Yeah, and another quick example, Zachary Brenner in the chat said, he was offered by Western Kentucky, tried to commit early summer, start a senior year. They didn't accept it because he couldn't enroll in early December. So, I mean, a lot of it has to do with your school availability too. So just because they offer you and then they get in there and then something doesn't line up, like, It happens a lot. It happens more than people understand, I think.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to keep dragging on this, but even if you go down, for me, it wasn't necessarily that same situation. But if you look at some of the FCS schools, like, I was getting recruited by like the Patriot League schools, Colgate and them, and they, same type of deal. It was like, if you're not super low income or you're not filthy rich, if you're just like a regular middle class guy, you ain't getting very much financial aid when it comes to that sense. So I don't know. If they thought mom and dad could write a check, then they probably can. But anyway, let's get going on this show. Top group of 5 offensive players to watch for in 2023. First, we got to talk about prize picks. Let me tell you something. My Miami Heat, this is why you don't bet with your heart. I know we've learned this lesson from Swaggy all football season long. Dude, I took all the wrong plays. I'm thinking surely Jimmy Butler is going to show up at some point in these NBA finals. He's getting over 28.5 points. Nope. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. So I will tell you, if you use our code GOFG, download the Prize Picks app, they will match your first time deposit up to $100. So get on that for the rest of baseball season. And then as we get into football coming up this fall. Also, don't forget to call the hotline 615-900-4286. Roast us on who we say are your top guys coming into the season. Coming up, we're going to have conference preview episodes. So, start giving us who you think is going to win. I know everybody in the call right now watching is 100% confident that their team is going to win the Sun Belt. But give us your takes. Give us who's going to win, why, who's going to have a great year, why, etc. We would love to hear all about it. Let's get to it. Nice and easy one. Get the ball rolling. Quarterbacks. I just want to go who's everybody's top guy. And then I think we're going to have some disagreements as we go along. Murph, I know you got Grayson McCall as your number 1 quarterback to watch 2023.
Well, this is going to be my question. Are we ranking them? So we're ranking them.
Yeah.
Who's going in? Who would I have as number 1?
Yeah. I mean, if you were a voter right now for a preseason all group of 5 poll, which you are a voter for all the preseason group of 5 polls, who are you voting for right now as your quarterback, as your QB1?
I'm going Frank Harris, University of Texas, San Antonio. Is my number 1.
Jesse.
And if you love
the
me,
Jesse eye roll.
If you would, I missed it. I missed it on the group cam. And let me tell you why, Sprouse. Let me tell you why. And this is, to me, this was 1A and 1B, and Grayson McCall was my 1B. And the only reason why I am going with Frank Harris as my number 1 is because if you look at his production, not only throwing the ball but running the ball, that is what, for me, separated. Now, granted, Zachary Franklin has gone to Ole Miss. I think that's a huge hit. He had 15 touchdowns last year. I believe he had over 1,000 yards receiving. That is a lot of production. But from everything that I've heard and read, and our sources down in San Antonio, JT Clark, they think he's actually better than Franklin. And you have Josh Cephas coming back. And then we'll talk about Kavorian Barnes, the running back, here in a little bit. I just think that offense is so potent. I think they're returning a lot of starters on offense. And when you talk about offensive production, I mean, Frank Harris did it all. Granted, not the greatest showing in the bowl game. That's kind of been a little bit of his knock. But you give him another year, going to the American. I know he's going to play a little bit tougher of a schedule. I'm going Frank Harris 1A, and then McCall was my 1B.
Jesse?
Before Jesse starts, I just want to say I agree with Murph. I have Frank Harris as number 1 also. So, Jesse, go ahead.
Hello.
You're live.
Frank Harris is surrounded by weapons. He's got a great team. But there is no doubt in my mind Grayson McCall is more imperative to that Coastal Carolina team than Frank Harris is to UTSA. Frank Harris cannot win the big game. He cannot win a bowl game. It don't matter what bowl game it is. He can't win the Bourbon Bowl. He can't win the Sugar Bowl. He cannot win a bowl game. He chokes. He chokes. Grayson McCall, you can say that he got his ass kicked in his last game last year, but he was pretty much on 1.5 legs. He is imperative. When he got hurt, that team struggled. Grayson McCall's been there since 2002. He's experienced. He is. I mean, my God, the guy only threw 2 interceptions last year and 24 touchdown passes, and the year before that he threw 3 interceptions. The year before that he threw 3 interceptions. The guy is consistent. Grayson McCall is my QB1. I'm not going to crap on Frank Harris. Yeah, he is. He's a top 5 for sure in the group of 5. But I actually I'm surprised. I had Austin Reed coming back Western Kentucky. I thought he would be a QB2 just by what he did last year with just airing it out all season long. Look for him to do it again in 2023. West Kentucky's offense is always fun to watch. So I'd probably put Frank Harrison there after Austin Reed.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. I think both Austin Reed and Frank Harris are probably going to have better numbers than Grayson McCall is going to have just because the weapons around him, the style of offense. But for Grayson McCall, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch already. He's healthy, supposedly. He's got Pickney coming back. He's got, sort of new, they're going to probably throw the ball around quite a bit more this year versus running that sort of gun option that they do. I agree. I think Grayson McCall is the best of the 3, just the best quarterback. But numbers-wise, yeah, I mean, Frank Harris is about to light it up, and Austin Reed's about to light up. Austin Reed is probably going to put up the best numbers because he's in Conference USA, and there's going to be some atrocious defense being played. Where
he's going to throw the ball over 600 times.
Yeah, in the Sun Belt and the American, you're going to have some really good defenses to go against every week. So that's a little bit different. I also had just a couple to watch. These are guys we talked about a little bit last year. Out of the MAC, 3 of them. Curtis Rourke at Ohio. Brett Gabbard at Miami of Ohio. As long as they get this recruit from Kell High School, they'd probably be all right. And then DeQuan Finn at Toledo, who we talked about late with his injury. All those guys were battling injuries, though, all year last year. So that's what you got to watch out for them. Tip, did you have anybody else in there? I got a couple more that I'm, I guess, interested in seeing. I don't think they belong in that top 3 or 5 category, but.
Yeah, I got I was looking at Taylon Green over in Boise State. He was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year last season, and you could just he came in and took over for Hank Bachmeier like week 2 or week 3 last year, and it's just once he came in and was the starter, you just saw that offense and the team as a whole just click, and they just started rolling off wins. So I want to see him get a full season as a starter coming in as his sophomore season coming up this year. Be interested to see what his numbers look like for this year.
Yeah, a 1-2 in the Mountain West. I don't want to say he's not very good, but I don't think he belongs in this category. Want to see if Mikey Keene is the guy at Fresno and how big of a drop-off that's going to be losing Jake Haener. He had a lot of hype when he was at UCF, and so we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, and they lose. I mean, you go to Fresno State, you have the quarterback whisperer and Jeff Tedford, but you lose your top 3 receivers. I mean, Moreno Cropper's gone. Remigio's gone. So, I mean, you lost a lot of talent. Jordan Mims is gone. There's just a lot to replace at Fresno State. Doesn't mean that they can't do it. But that's just going to be a tough situation. And then another quarterback, guys, I'm going to pose a question to you. Last year, which quarterback had the highest completion percentage out of all the group of 5 guys?
Somebody we haven't talked about yet?
Correct. I think he's going to
Michael Pratt.
Nope. He's going to make a huge jump this year.
We should have mentioned him, though.
Yeah, he's on my list. I got a couple.
He's on my list.
We're just getting started on QBs, boys.
Yeah.
We're going to be here a while.
Jeez, we should have done them last.
Seth Hennigan.
Nope.
Memphis, baby.
Fort Air Raid Clay Millen led the group of 5 in completion percentage of the guys that are coming into this season. 72.2%. Our boy Matt Mummy's there. And we'll talk about receiver that's going to be coming back for him as well. Top guy, in my opinion. Look out for Fort Air Raid, Colorado State. I think he's going to make a big, big jump. He got sacked, I think, more than any quarterback probably in the country last year. If they can give that kid some time, I mean, what he did under duress is gonna be huge. We didn't talk about Michael Pratt. He's top 5 in my opinion coming back, especially after that big bowl win against USC. And just I want to make this clear, like Frank Harris, Grayson McCall, Austin Reed, like there's to me like you can't go wrong with either one of those guys, and I think they're all going to light it up, especially with Tim Beck and Travis Trickett over there in Coastal. But if you just look at Frank Harris's numbers, I mean, almost 70% completion percentage, 4,000 yards last year, 32 touchdown passes, and 9 rushing touchdowns with 600 more yards on the ground. I think I actually had that 4,000 wrong, but I'll have to double check that.
That's right.
That's okay. That's what I thought.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, that's incredible production at the quarterback position. I don't know how you put anybody ahead of him, going into this season.
Quick sidebar. Is there a conference in the entire country, Power 5, Group of 5, other than the Sun Belt, that has more than 3 teams capable of winning the conference? Just think about that. Think about it real quick. Not really, right?
Give me a pen and paper.
Might have a fourth. They might
MAC
have a fourth sleep in. The MAC is the MAC. Anybody can win them.
I would say,
and that's not a knock on the MAC. It's just
I'd say the SEC.
Okay. Alabama, Georgia, LSU,
Tennessee.
You think they can win it?
They're going to get beat by UTSA. Like
they're pretty damn good last year.
Yeah.
And then you got Florida reloading. You got South Carolina looking pretty good.
There's no hookers running around Rocky Top this year. We'll see what happens.
Sure, there
you got Hugh Freeze at Auburn. We'll see.
No, not yet though. Okay, I'm just
saying.
But they're not
Conference USA.
No.
You said
Liberty.
I think Conference USA for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Liberty
Western. The Blue Raiders.
The Blue Raiders, for God's sake.
There's your 3. Who else can win that conference? La Tech.
I do think La Tech's going to be a lot.
Yeah, La Tech's got one hell of a running back coming back. So yeah.
They are going to be better. Anyway, I mean, I was just thinking about that.
I hear what you're saying, and yes, the logical answer is it's outside of 3 teams. That's kind of the norm in all conferences.
Yeah, except the Sun Belt. Yeah. I mean, the Sun Belt, you could have.
I would easily say Sun Belt's probably the most competitive conference in the country for sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
Sprouse, before you move on, I got 2 other names that I do want to mention on quarterbacks.
Shavon Cordero.
Yep, San Jose State, Shavon Cordero.
Knew that was coming.
Davis Brin, Georgia Southern, I think is going to have a really, really great season, especially in that offense down there where they threw the piss out of the ball last year with a lot of good returning guys coming back. Look out for
Been talking this guy up for 3 years.
Georgia Southern's going to be
I think he's in the best
year.
I think he's in the best situation he's ever been
up for 3 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Leave Tulsa.
And I'm telling you, there's a lot of good quarterbacks.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks.
South Alabama had a great season last year as well, and has a ton of talent returning. Lost his top receiver.
Can we go to a more important position though? Can we go to offensive line? Because
let's do O-line.
My God, I mean, because the best player in the Group of 5 was on the offensive line. He's Sincere Hainsworth.
You've been talking about him for 4 years.
I'll tell you what, the guy's going to be starting in the NFL. He's probably going to be a first round, second round pick, and he's going to be a starter for 12 years in the NFL. Just how smart he is. The guy's been playing since 2019. And he's a leader. He's a leader of that team. I love the guy. Dude, yesterday when I was doing this stuff, I was just watching film on him, and you can just tell he has control of the whole offense. Michael Pratt he's the star. I mean, he's the guy. Well, besides for this year, Michael Pratt will be the star. But you look at all the checks and all the communication. I mean, he's the nucleus of that offense, and he's pivotal. If he gets hurt, I mean, knock on wood, Tulane's probably going to lose 2 or 3 games. He's that important. Sincere Hainsworth, he might be a Raiders center one day, Jeff. I mean, the guy, he's going to be an NFL guy, and I think he's very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, the more right after the season, I thought with Tulane, losing Spears, I thought they were going to have a drop off. The more I look at them, That offensive line is good. You got the quarterback coming back. That might be the best O-line group.
I was about to say, yeah,
in the
his
group of
teammate
five,
right
and
next
it's led
to
by
him,
Hainsworth.
his teammate right next to him, Prince Pines, offensive guard. He was a first team All AAC last year as a redshirt junior, so he's coming back.
Son of a gun. Yeah. Two
That
lanes
line's loaded.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tulane is
Sprouse.
good. Yeah, what
real
you got?
quick, and this is just an addition, not to bring up the quarterbacks again, but Bleeding Purple and Gold was in the chat and said that look out for quarterback Mason Garcia at East Carolina. 6'5", 240, big arm, freak athlete.
6'5", and his last name's Garcia?
That's what he's saying.
This guy's a specimen.
Did he come in, Jesse?
But that is a name that I've been reading.
I got to now that you did it, I got to bring it up too because there's a couple. I don't know how they're going to be, but the two guys that Texas State got, TJ Finley was supposed to be a star at Auburn.
Yeah,
and Auburn's Auburn. They got all kind of mess on their hands, so you don't know, who to blame. He also got in some trouble at Auburn. But they got Malik Hornsby, right?
Yep, at Arkansas.
So they got some guys. We'll see how either of those two guys can do. You're right. There's a lot of quarterbacks. But anyway, back to O-line. I think this is a prediction, and I'm not saying they're going to win the conference or anything, but I think App State is going to get back to their identity. They got Helms as their leader on the O-line. They also are going to I think I told one of you guys this the other day, like I think in a way having Chase Bryce as like a really good, future pro quarterback took App State away from their identity of let's just run the damn ball. And I think they're going to get back to that this year with that O-line. And Cam Peoples was fantastic, but now you got your number one guy, Nate Noel, is going to be your number one back. And I think that guy's going to run for all kind of yards in Boone, North Carolina.
Oh, they got what's his face too. What was the other guy?
Yeah, I don't even know. Talking about
the guy that had the yellow cleats. Like
the guy who the whole game versus North Carolina, we were like, he's their best guy.
I think he's coming back too.
But anyway,
they got two like preseason all Sun Belt offensive linemen. App State does. Yeah. I think it's both tackles, or it might be a guard and a tackle. But I thought they lost a lot last year, but they're actually reloading again.
Still got some guys. Have to mention Air Force O-line is going to be. They're going to be good. They're a veteran team again. So basically, all their juniors that started last year are starting again this year as seniors, and then all their new starters are juniors and seniors across the board again. That O-line, they got a guy named Thor anchoring the O-line, so he's probably good. Don't know anything about him, but his name's Thor. Yeah,
he's better
be like Thor at the bar in Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Well, I got
an
offensive line one player and group that I think is going to be really good. And let me preface this. Went to a good friend of mine's wedding about 2 weekends ago, Evan and Mary Hutto. Congratulations to them. He is a James Madison graduate.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of JMU Duke fans were in attendance at this wedding. And let me tell you, they are fully confident, and they think JMU is going to be right where they left off, even losing all those big pieces. But they are returning all 5 starting offensive linemen. Nick Kidwell is the right tackle. He anchors that offensive line. I don't know how. I mean, their offensive production was fantastic last year. They were the number 1 total offense in the Sun Belt, 4th in rushing, 3rd in passing per game in yards. I don't know how you return all 5 starters and your offense. I know you lose Centeo, you lose Thornton. I think that they've done a pretty good job the last few years getting transfers in. I think they're going to be at the top of the conference again as far as the offensive line goes.
I can't wait for our Sun Belt show.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
I mean, I don't know. Like, last year, it was pretty much, we only talked about the East. This year, I think the whole damn conference is stacked. And the East is even better than it was last year. Anyway, what else we got for O-line?
we got a guy in Eastern Michigan that's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Brian Dooley, Eastern Michigan. Who's that? Brian Dooley. So a guy who was all MAC last year, and then the year before that he was third team all MAC. He's started for the past 3 seasons. He was the anchor for Ben Bryant when Ben Bryant had the all-time passing completion for Eastern Michigan a couple years back. What was this last year? A couple years back. The guy's a force. He's like 6'6", 320 pounds. Brian Dooley, keep him on your little marker board. I think he's going to be like a first-round pick coming out for the draft next year. Huge tackle.
They had how early did had a guy go to New England, right? City Sal went third round right
Something
after
about the
right
MAC.
after Jake Andrews.
The MAC creates these like snow mountain men of tackles that just go out in first few rounds of the NFL and are stars.
Yeah,
and I think and I'm not trying to be funny. I think it's just like all the toughness you have to have just being up there in the freaking cold and stuff. Like they just make men out of you. They're like the Alaskan bush people out there playing tackle.
I believe it. I mean, you see them games on Tuesday night when O-line and D-line, you just see the breath, while they're lying down. I mean, got to have something there. And then just the Midwestern corn-fed boys up there.
Big.
But hey, so let's do tight ends really fast because I don't think we probably. I mean, I only really had one guy on my radar, Mark Redmond, San Diego State. That guy's been all conference for for some time. So I mean, I don't really have nothing on tight ends. Y'all got anything?
I got a couple, but
I got a couple, yeah.
Oh,
Tip,
Jeff?
do you got any first? I feel like Tip hadn't chimed in.
I do, yeah. I got a few. Brady Hunt out of Ball State.
Yep.
He's going into his redshirt sophomore season. Last year as a redshirt freshman, 46 receptions, 498 yards, 5 touchdowns. You get one more season coming up for him for his sophomore season. He should have a good year. And then Oscar Cardenas from UTSA. Yep. I mean, any of those guys in the UTSA offense, and like we've talked about with Sakari Franklin gone, that's 93 receptions. That's over 1,000 yards. That's 15 touchdowns gone that are going to go to somebody because we know Frank Harris is going to have a great season. So I think he's going to have a big year this year. And then Joey Belgian, which out of Western Kentucky. Murph, I don't know if you remember this or not, but we met Joey after the game when they played UTSA up at Western Kentucky. Their number one tight end from last year, Joshua Simon, transferred to South Carolina. So again, kind of great offense to be in if you're a tight end. So I think and Joey Belgian into last year, especially in the bowl game, he had a great game in that bowl game. So I expect him to have a great year this season.
Tip, actually, let me see. Yeah, so I just came across this actually the other day. He actually recently transferred.
Joey Belgian did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my
to
gosh.
Cincinnati.
To where?
Cincinnati.
It's disgusting.
So their 2 top tight ends are gone. So that's going to leave a big hole for somebody to come in and get a lot of stats. But what are you going to do? And then I have one more name on the tight ends list. Neil Johnson out of Louisiana. Tip, did you mention him?
I did not know.
Okay. 25 receptions last year, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big guy. He's going into his senior year. Louisiana they need all the athletes they can get, and he's one of them down there. So look out for a big season by Neil Johnson for the Raging Cajuns.
Are the Cajuns? Is Terry live right now?
I haven't seen him in there. Somebody dropped.
Are they going to figure it out
Johnson's
this
name.
year?
I don't know.
I hope so, because you guys need to get down there because I need Grisham to taste some authentic boudin and some ice cold Andy Gators. The only place you can find them, Lafayette, Louisiana. No, crispy. Running back. Is that all we got on tight ends? Running backs.
I'll go back to tight ends real fast.
Yeah, go for it.
We talked about this in a previous episode, but one of these 4 transfer tight ends that are going into Coastal Carolina is going to have a big season. I don't
That's a
know
good
which
tip.
one it's going to be.
Amen,
Not the
Tip.
guy from Colorado. Not
Amen,
that guy.
Tip.
They got options. There's 4 of them. One of them's going to hit.
Look
and
out.
they're going to be a great
Colorado guy's a
great
Brillo
season.
pad.
Look out.
Bad. Yeah, I mean, surely they will, right? I mean, with McCall too. I mean,
Yeah.
Got to.
likely was
spinning the
so
ball.
good there. So surely somebody out of that bunch is
I'm
gonna
excited
make it.
about running backs. The running backs are stacked. We got
They
so many
are.
good running backs. in
Some
the group
really, really
I
good
would
running
say,
backs.
I would even say, Jeff, as much emphasis as you put on the quarterbacks and as good a quarterbacks they have this year in Group of 5, I think the running backs is competing right there, maybe even better than the quarterbacks this year.
It's close. Yeah, I agree. It's
They got
close.
some, there
There's
are
a
some
lot of
beasts
them.
out there.
And there's a lot of them that have been where they're at for some time too.
Mhm.
So, well, Swag, you're ready to roll. Who you got? I mean, give us one.
Rasheen Ali from Marshall. I
Ain't no
think
doubt.
because the guy was out last year, just looking what he did in 2021. And I mean, he's all over social media already. People are already talking about him. The big leagues are already talking about it, saying, like, look out for this guy at Marshall. He's going to be one of the top backs of this year. He's pretty magnificent. And if he stays healthy, he's going to be a top player coming out for the draft in 2023. He's Marshall, look out, Sunbelt. They're going to be pretty good next year.
What's
Yep.
crazy is if you look at his stats in 2021, the guy carried the ball 250 times. You would think that'd be enough. That was 1,400 yards. He also caught the ball 46 times. Like, that is so much offensive production for a guy that's 5'9". Like,
and he had 1 touchdown. like they got him onto the end zone, and they probably gave it to some,
Fullback.
bulldozer that came in and put in. So, a good point to myself. 2023, I'm going to predict this guy gets at least 12 TDs on the ground. He's got something to prove. 2023, yeah.
Dude,
He's awesome.
Sunbelt again. Frank Gore Jr.
Yeah.
That guy's been there for a long time. That guy does everything for them. They're starting to trend upward. I'm hoping he has more of a breakout season just as a straight up running back, like not having to do all the other stuff for them.
yeah.
Obviously, he's got the name. He's an NFL guy for sure.
Yeah, his biggest problem is they just haven't had a reliable quarterback. If they can get some type of consistency at the quarterback position and a passing threat, then that's just gonna open up the box for Frank Gore. I hope he continues to do what he's done, but gets a realistic shot to run the ball, and that's with him having 1,300 yards last year.
Well, I mean, we've seen it before. Frank Gore Jr. can play quarterback too. So I mean, maybe you just kind of just stick him back there. He can be the backfield. He can just be the running back quarterback combo and just do it all.
Just go Wildcat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. First of all, shout out to both of those guys and all these guys for not transferring, because they could have transferred. Gore, especially just because of his dad, could have transferred, and he didn't. They're sticking it out. So shout out to those guys. I mentioned Nate Noel at App State earlier, and yellow cleats. We don't know who he is. LaDamian Webb at
Big
South
time.
Alabama. Listen, South is flying under the radar right now from a 10-win team from a year ago. So they're going to be very, very good. What else you guys got?
Well, I was going to say I'm excited for that Troy South Alabama rematch for next year. Y'all already hit all my guys except for Marquise Crosby. I said something about him earlier for La Tech. He was a freshman last year. Just got under 1,000 yards. I think he's going to lead Louisiana Tech with a good rushing game this year. Louisiana Tech, look out for them.
I got a couple of them.
Jeff, who'd you mention at Ball State before? Tight end?
The tight end at Ball State was Brady Hunt. Tip mentioned him.
Yeah. Don't look now. But so Marquez Cooper transferred to Ball State, a MAC interconference transfer, and our boy Lane Hatcher from Texas State / Arkansas State transferred up there. So Ball State cleaning up in the portal.
9th year?
At least. That guy, 9th year, 9th school. I don't know. I mean, but Ball State making a run. So Marquez Cooper, I think, is going to have a really good year. One other guy, I'm sure Jeff's going to mention the Mountain West guy, George Halani at Boise State.
Yes.
Boise State should be very, very, very good. There's 3 teams in the Mountain West that can win it. Boise State, Fresno State, Air Force.
Yeah, and I got a couple other names here. I mentioned Kavorian Barnes.
Yep.
San Antonio's running back last year, split time with the senior. I can't remember his name off the top of my head there, but we saw him in the championship game. For a guy that's got some size to him, he's absolutely electric. I mean, he tore it up in that championship game last year. Look out for a big year for him. I'm going to mispronounce his name probably, but Sihe Bangura, the running back for Ohio, the Bobcats, over 1,000 yards last year. He was kind of one of their bell cow guys, 13 touchdowns, another 226 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. And then a guy to look out for, transfers from NIU, goes to Wyoming. Harrison Whaley last year at NIU. I know NIU had a down year. He had 900 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns on the ground. You know how Wyoming likes to pound the ball up there. I have a feeling this guy's going to have a really, really good year at Wyoming. So that's a name to keep an eye on.
What else we got? Did we miss anybody at running back? Anybody in the chat? Did we miss anybody?
Let's see what we got here. Of course.
Is Kamani Vital coming back for Troy?
Yeah, of course. Zachary Branner has been screaming Kamani's name.
Yeah,
in the chat
I have
for
him
the
on.
last
I have
10
him at
minutes.
I have him at number 6 on my list. I mean, he had over 1,100 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. I'm big on the yards per carry stat. He had 4.9 yards per carry last year, so that they trusted him with the ball. He moved the ball well. I think he's going to repeat and do even better this year.
Zachary
as good
says,
as
"Thank
Troy."
you, Tip."
As good as Troy's defense was all year, the last couple games of the year they started finally finding something with that ground game. So, yeah, we'll see if that continues this year. Hopefully they can get a little bit more consistent at quarterback because they're not just going to run away with that conference like we've been talking about.
Yeah, and then one last name, Sprouse. I just want to mention it. Jalen White, the running back for Georgia Southern. I think he's going to have another good year. He almost had 1,000 yards last year on the ground, 10 touchdowns. So I think Georgia Southern's offense is going to be really good.
They're going to be very, very good. Wide receiver. A lot of these guys too.
Yeah.
And I think I think when you look at the numbers, a lot of it is, what quarterback they're paired up with. I think if we talk about some of our top 3 quarterbacks, probably is going to be potentially top 3 wide receivers we've got here. Yeah. Tip, let me start with you. Who you got?
At number 1, I have Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. Had 101 receptions last year, just under 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. I mean, what else do we need to say about Western Kentucky's offense? Like they're gonna throw the ball. Yeah. He's gonna have, if he stays healthy, he's gonna have over 100 receptions, probably close to 1,300 yards rushing and double-digit touchdowns. So he's my clear-cut number 1. I'll go down one more because I got a 2A and a 2B. It's your UTSA wide receivers. It's Joshua Cephas and JT Clark. It's hard to tell who's going to have the better season. I think they're both going to have over 1,000 yards. Both should get double-digit touchdowns. Close to 70, 80, 90 receptions. So it's going to be incredible to watch. I can't wait.
Yeah, no doubt. Murph, what do you got?
Well, I got to go with my boy Steeple _PC_51. His son, Samuel Pickney, I think he's going to have an incredible season. Grayson McCall is your quarterback. And from word straight from the horse's mouth, this is the best offseason that Grayson McCall has had, with a full offseason healthy with his receivers. So I think he's going to have another incredible year. He had almost 1,000 yards receiving last year. I think he's going to do it again, if not, have a better season. Jared Brown, also the receiver at Coastal last year, they used in a lot of jet sweep situations. I'm curious to see how they use him, but he's a burner. I think he's going to be another incredible receiver coming in this year. And then I got a couple more, but I'll let Swaggy go.
Y'all hit 2 or 3 of my guys, but one of y'all did not hit yet. Caleb Hood, Georgia Southern.
Yeah,
I like Davis Brin coming down there, like Jeff said earlier. He's consistently gotten better each year. His receptions have gone up. It's actually his receptions have actually doubled each year. I thought the stats pretty funny. 2019, 8 catches. 2020, 15 catches. 2021, 41 catches. 2022, 87 catches. So he's due for 160 catches for 2023, and possibly a handful of touchdowns as well. So look out for Caleb Hood at Georgia Southern.
I like it. One guy, you guys hit everybody. I had Trayvon Rudolph at NIU. Missed all of last season with an injury in camp, I think it was. But 2021, all MAC by just about every publication out there. Had almost 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's going to be really good if it's not too cold and, having quarterback concerns at NIU. But Trayvon Rudolph, guy that missed all year last year, should have a big comeback year this year.
Murph, you mentioned Clay Millen earlier, didn't you?
Yep, and I was going to talk about his receiver.
Perfect. We're on the same page. There we go. Great minds think alike. Go ahead, Murph. Take it away.
Torrey Horton. I mean, this guy, I saw him live when they played the Blue Raiders. We went out there, and he is an absolute stud. He had 71 receptions last year, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean, this is Clay Millen's number one. So if they, like I said, it's all going to be based on if they can protect up front. And if they can, I think Colorado State is going to be a whole lot better in their second year of this air raid system under Matt Mumme. So look out for Torrey Horton. Tip, do you have any more? I have one more if you don't.
I don't know. That was everyone that I had.
All right, last one I got to look out for. Sam Wiglusz, I think is how you pronounce his last name, receiver at Ohio. Rourke's top guy last year, 73 receptions, 877 yards, 11 touchdown catches last year for the Bobcats, and he's coming back. Rourke should be coming back healthy, coming off that ACL injury at the end of last season, so that's going to be big if he's going to be fully healthy in time at the start of the season. Should be, but look out for that cat. He is a baller in the MAC.
I got another quarterback to watch, guys. One I forgot about.
Keep them coming.
Temple Owls.
Ooh.
The son of Kurt Warner. E.J. Warner. Y'all remember they were playing one random weeknight, and I was texting y'all, and I was like, yo, Kurt Warner's kid is playing, and he's a baller now. Started as a true freshman last year. I think they were playing Rutgers, maybe. Or somebody.
I can't remember. I'm sorry for interrupting you. It was somebody.
Somebody
they
in
were
the
getting
Northeast.
Smoked, but they were like, he was the only reason why they were in the game.
Yeah. I think it was like it was a Thursday night or Wednesday night game. Like it was the only game on. But yeah, I mean, all freshman team, pretty much across the board. Started as a true freshman last year. I mean, Temple has been pretty bad, but hopefully they've got a quarterback, some stability there for the next couple of years if he doesn't leave. Obviously has the, mental capacity based on his dad, but it's another quarterback for you. Anybody else we miss at any position, gentlemen? No mention of anybody on the Blue Raiders is shocking to me, actually. I thought you'd get a Frank Peasant mention at some point from
close.
Jeff Murphy.
I think, it's the O-line question, right? Is like, I think he's gonna be fine. I mean, he's gonna have another good year, but we'll just see what kind of step that offensive line takes. If they take a step up, I mean, he could have a breakout season this year.
Man,
I agree.
I hope so. I mean, I think that's Liberty and Western are far and away better than anybody else in that conference right now. But we'll get to that later on. That's all I got. Jeff Murphy, you about to say something?
No, I was just going to say a pair of receivers that I didn't mention. They lost their top guy last year, but South Alabama, Devin Voisin. He had 800 yards last year, 5 touchdowns. I think him and Cullen Lacey are the 2 top guys coming back for South Alabama. And with Carter Bradley, the success he had last year, I think both of those guys could have either close to or if not over 1,000 yards receiving. So I think South Alabama's not a lot of people are talking about them. I think they're going to be right there at the top of the pack again.
Doesn't South Alabama open up at Tulane? Isn't that week 1? That's a monster game in the group of 5.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
It's either week 1 or week 2. I'm fairly certain. And then I think right after that they go to Hattiesburg and play Southern Miss. Man, you look at the schedule early, all these games look good, but you just never know how the season's going to pan out. But that should be a good one. Both of those teams trying to make a play for the group of 5 team to make a New Year's Bowl. So that should be a pretty good one. That's all we got for you guys tonight.
Before we go, Sprouse,
kickers.
We are missing.
Yeah, here we go.
A very important position here. Kickers score points too.
They do. Who you got, Tip?
Okay, here we go. So we have Alex McNulty, kicker from Buffalo. He was the MAC Special Teams Player of the Year last year as a senior. This year he's a grad student, but he's coming back to play. He made 100 straight extra points and made 24 field goals last year. And he also throws javelin for the track and field team.
Get out.
He's an athlete. Kid's an athlete.
It must be awful to be a kicker in the MAC. Like, just standing there all night long, freezing, and then you got to go kick that brick.
I was going to say, yeah, those footballs get so hard when they're cold.
Especially Buffalo. Oh, Buffalo's probably I don't know, is that the furthest north?
Well, if we're mentioning kickers here, Tip, we got to go Zeke Rankin for the Blue Raiders.
He is.
Coming back. I mean, he was so clutch last year and won a handful of games by the last-minute field goal. Shout out Zeke Rankin.
Absolutely. And I got one more guy before we leave. Dominic Zavada,
great name,
kicker from Arkansas State. He was first-team All-Sun Belt as a true freshman last year, and he was a Lou Groza semifinalist last year as the nation's top kicker.
I respect
Arkansas State. Are they going to figure it out at some point?
I don't know.
He's got to be on the hot seat, don't you think, Butch?
Has
you
to
would
be.
Think.
I used to be terrified of them. Now they're little puppies.
What happened? What happened? I mean,
you see all these recruits and transfers that come in there, and you're just like, oh, this roster's good, and then just for some reason, it just
when we were there, that was a school where like they would get a coach that was like the next big Power 5 coach. He'd be there for 1 year, win a Sun Belt championship, then move on, and he'd have like just monsters on his team. They were awesome. Like Gus Malzahn was there.
Who is that program now?
Ooh, good question. Well,
what was the comparison? No. I missed it.
Like this is a school where everybody's like their stepping stone school. They win a conference championship, and then they go to the Power 5. Arkansas State, I mean, they were for a long time.
There for a while, it was Cincinnati too, but we can't mention that school anymore. So
I thought it might be UAB.
It could be UAB because Dilford, if they win, he ain't staying.
He ain't gonna be UAB.
So.
No. Who knows? That's a good question, though. I don't know. I don't think it's not really happening that much.
Well, nobody's been like dominant for
I mean, Hugh Freeze at Liberty, he was a dominant, but he stuck it out.
I mean, it seems like Coastal Carolina. I mean, Chadwell moves on. Tim Beck's going to take him to like probably 4 Sun Belt titles, and then he'll probably move on.
Good one.
That is a good one.
Hey, you know who it is. You know who it is.
Georgia Southern.
App State. It's App State.
Sean Clark.
Yeah.
But you're right. God forbid.
Satterfield was there.
Clark won a championship or two. You make him back to Purdue.
No, come on.
Oh, I know. That's this place. That's these
that point. See that. Well, I know we got to go. That sucks for Sean Clark because he ain't going nowhere no matter how much he wins. But them damn fans. I mean, God forbid you have one season. I mean, they are ready to can his ass.
Lay off of him, Stu.
I was gonna say Stu's right in the chat.
Trip.
He's just.
Could it be also FAU?
Yeah, but Taggart was there for a while and he didn't do nothing. It's got to be like Arkansas State. It was Malzahn.
Yeah.
It was.
You had Arkansas State, but you also had Western Kentucky too at our time. I can't remember all the names of the guys that went to Arkansas and wrecked
Taggart was
Liberty,
Western Kentucky guy, wasn't he?
Who?
Yeah, Taggart Was he at Western before he went to Oregon?
He was at Western. Well,
That's
he was
Taggart,
at
man.
Yeah. All over the place.
He's
Western. What was it? Western's head coach or offensive coordinator after the year with Bailey Zappi, and then he went to he went to be
Texas
an OC
Tech or
somewhere.
right?
Yeah.
Texas Tech, yeah.
I don't know. Well, it's good. It's good. Something to think about. But anyway, that's all we got for you guys tonight. If you do like the show, make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your good podcasts. Like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Make sure you hit the follow button on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Get on there, retweet, share, like, all the above. And you go to groupof5guys.com, get you some swag. Most important thing you could do, tell your family and friends about us. Guys, start hitting the DMs. Tell us what games you want to see us at. We're going to try to start looking at the schedule here shortly. But we'll catch you in 2 weeks. We're going to do the same thing for the defensive side of the ball. Group of Five Guys are out of here. Good night.
Good night.